Welcome back. Today, we're jumping straight into a really fascinating business case study for this explainer. We're going to break down the anatomy of a challenger brand. Specifically, we're looking at how a massive global heavyweight localizes its entire strategy for one of the most complex, diverse, and fiercely contested emerging markets in the world, India. We'll be looking closely at Pantene, a brand owned by Procter & Gamble, and analyzing exactly how they managed to carve out their own space on the extremely crowded Indian hair care shelf.
Okay, let's dive into this and set the stakes right out of the gate. We are looking at a true David versus Goliath reality in the Indian shampoo market. Hindustan Unilever, or HUL, is the absolute dominant Goliath here. Historically, they hold a massive 60% or more of the overall hair care pie. Pantene, on the other hand, despite being backed by the sheer global might of P&G, historically holds a single-digit to low double-digit share, usually floating around that 7 to 10% mark. So how does a brand actually operate and grow when the deck is stacked so heavily in favor of just one competitor? Well, it requires a very specific, hyper-targeted strategy.
To understand how Pantene actually pulls this off, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The crowded shampoo market. 2. Targeting the Indian consumer. 3. The Pro-V proposition. 4. Price, placement, and penetration. 5. Promoting strong, shiny hair. And 6. Future challenges and growth.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1, the crowded shampoo market. So the competitive landscape of the Indian hair care aisle is just intensely crowded. Not only is Pantene fighting HUL's massive, sprawling portfolio, but they also have to navigate their own parent company's internal brand dynamics. Think about it. P&G already owns Head & Shoulders, which absolutely dominates the anti-dandruff specialist space. Because of that, Pantene can't just be a generalist. They need a highly specific lane, and that lane is defined by this absolutely crucial concept, mastige. This is the whole Goldilocks strategy underpinning Pantene's entire approach in India. They aren't trying to be the cheapest option on the shelf. They sit higher than pure mass value brands like HUL's Clinic Plus, but they intentionally stay more accessible than pure premium or professional salon lines. They're aiming right for that sweet spot, highly aspirational yet completely accessible beauty.
Moving right along to Section 2, targeting the Indian consumer.
Now, what's really interesting about this is exactly who Pantene goes after. They're primarily targeting middle and upper middle class women, heavily focusing on that 18 to 40 demographic. Geographically, their core strength lies in urban and semi-urban markets. Psychographically, we're talking about women who really value their appearance, seek confidence through having healthy hair, and want those salon-like results at home. But behaviorally, this is the most crucial part. These women are fighting daily environmental hair stress. We're talking about the day-to-day realities of living in India: pollution, hard water, chemical treatments, and daily styling. They're actively looking for repair, smoothness, and strength to combat that exact environmental damage.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Pro-V proposition.
So how does Pantene actually convince this consumer who is battling all this daily hair stress to pick up their bottle? And this brilliantly illustrates how they carve out a totally unique middle ground identity to cut through all the noise. They don't just promise generic beauty, and they don't just promise gentle care. Instead, they lean entirely into science-backed strength and shine, driven by their core Pro-V or Pro-Vitamin technology. Just look at the direct competitors. HUL's Sunsilk targets the youth with a pure beauty mass appeal message. HUL's Dove completely owns the pure care gentleness space. Pantene positions itself right smack in the middle, promising that its Pro-Vitamins physically penetrate the hair to deliver visible repair. It's a highly rational, science-backed claim that supports a very emotional benefit.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, price, placement, and penetration.
You know, a great positioning strategy is pretty much useless if the product isn't right, priced correctly, and actually available where the consumer shops. When you look at how this translates to the physical market, you'll see every single variant on the shelf is purposefully engineered to solve those physical realities and cultural preferences we just talked about. Smooth and Silky tackles everyday pollution and frizz. Repair and Protect goes straight after chemical and styling damage. Hair Fall Control targets breakage. And definitely note that Long and Strong variant. This is a brilliant direct localization. Long hair is a deeply rooted cultural preference in India, and Pantene specifically formulates and markets a product to ensure that long hair stays strong and manageable.
So the crucial point is how they get these specific solutions into the hands of millions of consumers who might find a full bottle just a bit too expensive. The answer is this tiny number right here, 5 ml. The 5 ml sachet is, without a doubt, the ultimate strategic weapon in the Indian FMCG landscape. While Pantene has a super strong modern trade and e-commerce presence for its larger bottles, the sachet allows for deep penetration into extremely price-sensitive rural areas and small local Kirana stores. It drives massive trial. It literally allows a consumer to experience that prestige, salon-like quality for just a few rupees, building household penetration and volume from the ground up.
Moving on to Section 5, promoting strong, shiny hair.
How do they get the word out? The answer is a massive multi-channel media engine backed by P&G's immense marketing muscle. Pantene relies heavily on television advertising across entertainment and movie channels to reach those young women. They use top-tier celebrity endorsements, huge names like Katrina Kaif, Anushka Sharma, and Sushmita Sen to lend major aspirational weight to the brand. But the core of the messaging always comes back to emotional storytelling linked to visible results. Their global platform, Strong is Beautiful, is localized absolutely perfectly here. They use those classic before and after style demonstrations to prove the efficacy of the Pro-V science, essentially driving home a deeply resonant message. Outer hair health and shine directly, undeniably translate to inner confidence and empowerment.
And finally, Section 6, Future Challenges and Growth.
Look, while Pantene has definitely secured its position as a premium to mass-market staple in India, no brand exists in a vacuum, right? And the market is shifting rapidly. Consumer preferences are undergoing a massive evolution right now. We're seeing a fierce rise in herbal and natural Ayurvedic brands like Patanjali, Dabur, and Indulekha, which appeal heavily to deeply traditional Indian roots regarding hair care. On top of that, younger consumers are increasingly demanding premiumization through the lens of direct-to-consumer, clean beauty brands that are hyper-focused on scalp health, natural ingredients, and sustainability.
Which leaves us with this central, really provocative thought. Pantene has successfully carved out its David share of the market against the Goliath of Hall by completely owning the space of visible, science-backed repair. But as the very definition of healthy hair shifts away from laboratory-tested vitamins toward earth-grown botanicals and clean ingredients, can their Pro-V proposition adapt quickly enough? It's a fascinating question that really highlights the dynamic, ever-changing nature of global brand strategy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.